right, hey, you want to know sales tip or sales management tip number 248? What questions do you ask? Really examine the questions that you ask. We get in sometimes to sales situations and we don't plan ahead what questions we should ask, what we should be doing. What I really think you should do is really be thinking about different types of questions. My belief is there's strategical questions and there's tactical questions. And those are two basically things you should have in your toolbox. Because a tactical question is, how do you do this, or how does this hurt you? A strategical question is more about, what about the future? What about big picture? How does this hurt the whole company? And two things. Number one, when I start out, if I'm talking to a CEO or a president of the company and I ask tactical questions, basically you're asking that person to send you to somebody else. If you don't ask them strategical questions, they're going to refer you somewhere else. A great example is someone may be selling either a phone service, right, internet cable service for your business, and they might call you, they might get through to you, right? They might even get through to head of operations and say to that person, so what do you pay per month for your internet charge, for your data surcharge? And probably if you're a president of a company, a CEO of a company, or if you're a VP of ops, you're probably going to go, I don't know. I rely on my other people to check that out and do that, and they have that data. So I would like to transfer you over to them to talk to them. So by the question you ask, we always say call at the top, call at a high level. But if you're asking terrible questions, then when you do get through there, they're going to say, well, go talk to somebody else. So what kind of questions do you have prepared depending who you're talking to, right? And by the way, that works both ways, right? If you've ever gotten one of those information gatherers, those person that says, hey, I'm just calling for my boss, and you ask tactical questions, how many times does this happen? They probably have the answers. But if you ask strategical questions they cannot possibly answer because they don't know, right? So if someone's calling and saying, I'm calling for my boss to find out what this training course cost, and a question might arise is, so is this training for one division or everybody? I don't know. So what are the outcomes, or what, perfect world, if he did training and at the end of a year, what would he hoping to see as the ROI for that training? Most likely, if I'm talking to an information gatherer, they're going to go, I don't know. I was only told to find out what the courses are and prices. And you can say, great, no problem, I'll get you those. But who's going to, once you have the training done, who's going to reinforce the training to make sure it stays alive? You're probably going to hear an I don't know. See, the great thing about that is if you understand that I'm talking to an information gatherer and I get 3 strategical questions that they can't answer, by the third one, they're going to sit there and say, maybe we should get somebody else involved that can answer these questions. But if you just have tactical questions, they're going to be able to answer it and you're not getting to the top. So what questions do you have, strategical and tactical, and how are you positioning those questions on different calls? That's, by the way, also called pre-planning your call, and not just shooting from the hip. So stop shooting from the hip, get the right questions, have a great call.